I'm Jonathan Moore from Coldcut, and this is Take Five, the Pikap Wicked Shop here in Thessaloniki.
For small town girls and soft summer nights, we'd hide from the lights on the village green.
So the first one we've got is actually probably quite an unusual choice. Frank Sinatra. Can't go wrong with a bit of Frank Sinatra, to be honest. And this is one of my favourite songs. I've got quite a lot of cover versions, but I actually haven't got one by Frank Sinatra. It was a very good year. And as usual, when you come to an excellent record shop, you go through the bins, and quite often you'll find something nice like this that's tucked away, pretty cheap, and always welcome to join your collection, really, to be honest. So that's number one of my 5 selection.
Okay. Baby, baby, I've got this feeling in my soul.
Had to choose this, really. This is Our Friends, Soul to Soul, and my favourite version, which is Fair Play with Rose Windrush, which means a lot to me because I used to go to the Africa Centre when Jazzy was playing, and Matt and I often DJ'd with Jazzy B, and just seeing this live in, when was it? It would have been 1989, 1990, something like that. I don't know, there's probably a release date on here. It was just such an amazing experience, it's such a brilliant time, and I'm sure for everybody, you know, if you grew up with rave as your time, or if you grew up as punk as your time, or if you grew up in the noughties and you had your particular music things, a record like this is going to stay with you for the rest of your life. And every time you hear it, maybe you might not hear it for say 20 years, and then you'll hear it on the radio and you'll be transported back to that moment that you first heard this on the dance floor, where you first danced to a record like that. So fair play to Soul for such a great record. And actually, if there's anybody out there who's got a 7-inch of this and wants to send it to me, I'd love it, because I've been looking for a 7-inch of this for a long time, and I've actually never found one, weirdly enough. Number 3, we have Return of the Giant Slits. Now the Slits are a fantastic all-woman band, and I must have seen them perform live, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 times when I was a young man, which was quite a long time ago. And I was at college, and I used to go to the local pub, and the local pub had it was a music venue in a local pub, and upstairs there was a great venue. It was called the Nag's Head, and it was in High Wycombe, which is about 30 miles from London. And I saw the Slits play there, I think actually supported by, it was either the Human League or Cabaret Voltaire, but I can't remember. But classic, this and their first album, classic records. And actually it's about time that they got paid their royalties. Apparently Island Records don't pay their royalties to the Slits. I'm not sure, I think this one's on CBS though, which was a later release, and probably why they left Island Records. Possibly an obscure pick. This is Music Concrete, which isn't the name of the band, it's the style of music, which is kind of sampling before sampling was invented as such, in the way that we do it, a digital sampling. This was tape sampling, found sounds, using musical instruments in quite a weird way. I've actually got the original of this record, and the second volume as well, I think, and probably worth quite a lot of money now, I would think. I'm not really sure. This is Pierre Schaeffer, French guy. The French, obviously the clues in the title, Musique Concrete, it's a French thing, and very influential. Matt and I were particularly into people like Pierre Henry and Jean-Jacques Perret, and we were very lucky. We got the opportunity to remix Pierre Henry, and that was a great thing. He's a funny guy though. So I took a sample from one of his other records, not the record that he'd asked us to remix from, and it was just kind of a synth blip. It went something like that. And when he heard the mix, he said, "I'm sorry, but that sound wasn't from the record that I asked you to remix. Can you take it out?" Which was just brilliant.
The only way you can spot one is by how you feel around him. You feel like floating in a world of change. I know, because I met a new...
This is The Sound of Feeling by Spleen, which is again a kind of weird record, but it's actually... I don't really know how to describe it other than it's amazing, and you should have this in your collection. And great label, Limelight, fantastic American, lots of interesting experimental stuff on it. And I actually don't know very much about it other than I bought it, I suppose, in 1984, 1985, something like that, in a second-hand shop in New York. And I was just like blown away. I bought it because it looked interesting. No other reason. I often buy records without listening to them because they look interesting. And it turned out to be a cracking record. And as with a lot of cracking records, they get released, they disappear into the ether, and then eventually somebody comes along and finds it and goes, "Yeah, this is a wicked record. Other people should listen to this," and they reissue it. So there it is, reissued on quality vinyl. And so that's my 5. Thank you very much.